This is a 2017 Bavaria 33 hardtop. We're going to show you the full walkthrough tour right now. This is a fantastic layout boat. In fact, I used to own the predecessor to this, the Bavaria 32 hardtop. So I'm really interested to have a look around this boat with you and see the differences between the older boat, which actually my old boat is for sale now as well, and this one. So this is a fantastic boat. I really like the Bavaria brand. So stay tuned for the full walkthrough tour right now. Hi there, I'm Jonathan Parker from Park Owners Boat Sales, and this Bavaria 33 hardtop, it's a fantastic boat, and I really love the Bavaria because I owned one for 7 years, as I just said, the old 32, and that was a 2007 boat, but this is a 2017 boat, so 10 years newer. And already straight away, the one thing I noticed is obviously my older one had the blue stripe all the way around it, but Bavaria have really modernised the look of their boats, and they've gone for this very grey sort of second tone to the hull and to the top sides, and it really makes the boat feel very modern indeed. I quite like the fact they've gone for the black surrounds for the windows because it blends into this, almost makes this look like a large window when in fact it isn't. It's just good styling. The hardtop as well is slightly different to the predecessor. I really like the layout because it's got a much bigger roof opening than the previous boat. I also like the fact that it's got this extended platform. I really like the extended platform. It adds about another 2.5 feet to the boat. So in fact, it's not a 33, it's more like a 35.5. But what that gives you is space, not only better access on and off. As you can see, you can get on the side, you can get on the back really easily, but also you can put a tender on the back of here. You actually have a couple of chocks and you can place a tender on here if you wish, and you'll still have room to get around the boat. The Bavaria as well are very thoughtful of access and getting around. German-built boat, very good quality that I've found in my ownership. And I especially like the walk rounds on this. Now, a lot of sports boats, it's quite hard to get around the sides of the boat with the covers up. So we left the covers up to show you, but in fact, there's just 2 simple steps, and these are lit as well, to go up to the side deck. And then you step up again to go all the way round to the front. And there's handrails all the way around, nice height as well to it. And we go round to the front section where there's actually a bathing cushion that goes on here. You can see the fixings for it around here. This is all non-slip, so when it's not on here you can walk around. And then to the anchor, Bavaria always has an open anchor bow as well, so you can access the boat on and off the front if you wish to. And then the anchor locker itself is just in here, nice and neat. But Bavaria always, as they did in my boat, actually put the water fill here. So you actually fill the water tank up the front. And that's because the water tank itself is actually underneath the front cabin bed. And what the benefit I found with that is because a lot of water tanks are to one side at the stern. And when they're full, the boat leans slightly to one side to the full tank, especially on this sort of size of boat. But because it's under the front bed, the front cabin bed, what you tend to find is that it actually weighs the bow down a little bit, so it actually gives you better seakeeping when it's full, believe it or not. It's a bit like having a ballast tank up the front. And I always found when it was full, the boat actually rode slightly better. The walk round continues around the other side, but I'll meet you around there. It's the same width as this side, the same sort of layout. This boat does have a holding tank, and the waste pump out is this side. And then you can come straight down into what they have done. They haven't extended it to the back like the other side. They actually did this one, so you come straight into the cockpit area. And it leads on to then, again, you've got this lit up as well, these steps at night, which is quite nice. And the little flap here is actually access to the fuel fill. And I quite like the fact it's not actually on the deck, because when it rains, it actually drains away and doesn't flow over the fuel fill. It's one of the weaker points on boats of water getting into the fuel tank is actually when these are sat on the decks and they're not quite done up properly, or the O-ring has perished and you get water in, but it's very well protected under there, so I like that. As you can see, there's real teak all the way through, from the bathing platform all the way through the cockpit area, which is quite rare to see now. A lot of it is synthetic, but it says real teak. And then into this cockpit seating area, very large seating area, quite a large table. But as you can see, you can probably get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, sit, I reckon, 7 people comfortably round here, just for a social gathering. And again, you can completely enclose this area. We've just taken off this side cover for the side access, but it does feel very nice. And in fact, we're here in November. It's quite cool outside. The sun's out, but it's warm in here because you've got this effect, and acts as a brilliant windbreak. The one thing I have found is the height difference. So on the older models, the actual head height wasn't very good on the 32. I'd actually have to sort of almost duck a little bit, but in here you've got a really good head height. I'm 6 foot, so you can really see I'm only another hand width above me, so a good chap, what's that, 4 inches? So 6'4", you wouldn't have to be stooping onto a hardtop, which sometimes is a problem. But I really like the fact it's called a silver edition. It's got some nice touches, a few silver decals, the black things around, and around the windows, which isn't silver, but it just gives it that nice effect. It just feels a lot higher quality because of these finishes. I like the fact it's being painted the same colour on the inside as the out. Could quite easily have just been left white, but I do like this. But we just have this outside galley area. So we have a sink, so a cold water sink. We have an electric grill as well. The boat doesn't have a generator, but obviously this can be operated when you're in shore power. It has an outside sink as well, which is nice, which has a freezer compartment, so you can put your ice in there. This drops down, and again it's another work surface, which is quite smart. There's storage under this rear seat, and this table, it is this big because it does drop down, and you can make this into a lounger. As we go through though, we've got this extra bit of seating area up the front here. I do like this because this gives you another couple of forward-facing seats when you're in the cockpit area. And of course you've got opening windows either side, which is a nice touch. But nice big windows. These are bigger than my previous one. I noticed that straight away. They are larger. And what I really loved about my boat was the visibility. And it's actually better on this one than on the previous one. If I pop up, look. What I quite like is my roof was electric, but I'd say it was probably a third smaller than this one. But what they've gone for is these are now manual, and I quite like that because the electric roofs, sometimes you can have problems with them, but you know where you are with an electric roof, and it's very easy just to slide back. So you can slide it all the way back. You can put it into different positions. When it's right the way back, it neatly just stows everything away. So all this bit that hangs down sort of folds itself into the back here. And then when you want to close it again, just slide it back down. But you can see the light difference, and you get that feeling of an open boat when this is open. And it just basically leaves the radar arch and the screens around the side, which is quite nice. Leading to the helm though, you've got a single seat, which I think you can move it back and forward. You can't spin that one around, but it has a bolster so you can stand or sit at the helm. The steering as well, you can adjust. You can have it up and down depending if you're standing at the helm or if you want to sit at the helm as well. And the same as actually my previous Bavaria, it has this panel. I really like this on mine. So rather than having a lot of rocker switches, it has the switches to do everything on here, from putting the anchor up and down, to switching on the lights, to switching on the stereo, to operating the wipers, horn, everything you can do off of that panel. And there's a repeated one down below as well, which has less things on, but more to do with the domestic side than the actual, the putting on the horn and the anchor and things like that. And it's not needed down there, but it's up here. I like this system. It always worked perfectly, never had any problems with it. But what I do like about this as well is the visibility. So the visibility is really good. There's not any blind spots. Quite often these pillars can be really big and chunky on hardtop boats, but they're not. They're quite slim, so I can actually very easily just see either side of it. And again, a nice opening side window, which I quite like because you can stick your head out. So when you're mooring up, you can sort of see where the pontoon is. But mooring can be done quite easily on stern drives with this. So it's Volvo Penta D3 220 horsepower engines. It has a bow thruster, so very easy manoeuvrability with the stern drives and the bow thruster. But as an option, joystick's been added. So these stern drives operate independently of each other, and you can actually use the joystick to actually maneuver the boat wherever you want to, just at very easy touches of the joystick control. A very good option if you're a little bit nervous about parking, or in certain situations where you just can't do what you want with the normal controls. A joystick comes into its own. And once you get used to a joystick, it's quite hard to go back, to be honest. I've used them a few times now, and it is hard to not have one, especially when you just want to go sideways, or, you know, it's very easy maneuverability. And we also have trim tabs, and we've got this neat Garmin chart plotter. Now you might think it looks quite small, but actually it's in the perfect position. It's not too far away. You can see quite clearly what's going on there. You can zoom in and out very easily, and I just like that size. You could get away with a slightly bigger one if you wanted to, but really it's just a nice size for this size of boat. There's a little Fusion stereo here. Then this is a second screen. There's the main stereos down below, but you can operate it from here, which is quite neat. And with the Fusion systems as well, you can also get the app where you can control it from your phone. And then we have the Volvo Penta gauges for all your engine instruments. It's quite interesting with the engine choice, because on this sort of size of boat, you could quite easily bump yourself up to the D4s, which will go to sort of 260 horsepower and upwards from there now with the D4s. But what the difference is that my older Bavaria also had D3s, had the previous generation D3s, and you could have put D4s in that. But the engines are actually twice the weight. The D4s are double the weight of the D3s, literally double. And what you tend to find with that extra weight in the back of the boat, it actually reduces performance for the extra power you're getting from having the bigger engines. So in a lot of ways, having the D3s in here, the performance is very similar to if you have the D4s. And the D3s being smaller engines, for when you're just pootling around, they're actually much more economical, they're quieter. So in fact, the D3s have been kept with the Bavaria, have kept with the D3s just because of these reasons. And I agree. I always found that we did sea trial a couple of Bavarias with D4s in. The performance was negligible. There was no real difference in it, apart from you had this much more weighty engines in there, and it sort of counteracted that fact. So the D3s are a good option for these Bavarias. Right, let me take my shoes off. So we're going to head down below. Let's put that window up. Right, as we go through, I just want to show you the door. So it's a smoke glass door, and then we have these steps coming down which are nicely lit. And the layout of this 33 is very similar to my old 32, so it does feel quite familiar. Bavaria, because they make yachts as well, they take a lot of the design and the design work from the yacht. So yachts, Bavaria yachts of this era, sort of later yachts, will be very similar in the woodwork and the materials. And I quite like that, because when you're boating, you want to feel like you're boating, and you do with a Bavaria, because it's very similar to the sailing yachts. So you feel like, you know, you've got a proper boat. I like that. And then you've got this extra seating. So not only have you got seating up there, you've got seating down here as well. Very neat. And as my old boat, it actually is open to the front bed. And Bavaria at one stage, they did bring out another 33, literally just after mine, so about 2008-9. And they actually had a bulkhead here. So it had a separate cabin, and a lot of people liked that. They liked the fact it had a separate cabin. But in a 33-foot boat, it actually reduced this area so much this became quite a cramped area and felt quite enclosed. So Bavaria actually went back to the open, which they did originally, because of that. And I really like this, because effectively, because it's a hardtop, you've got your living area, you've got your socialising area upstairs, but this becomes your sort of almost like your suites. This is now your living suite. You can bed, you know, it's like a bedroom suite. And I'm just going to pop up onto the bed. It was always quite deceiving how big these beds are, because you always think they're quite small, but this is actually, I am, like I say, 6 foot, and I can stretch all the way here quite happily, and the same this side as well. And it would, you decide which way you go around, because sometimes I would sleep the other way round, because then your pillow's here, and normally your feet would be back here. There's a television there as well, So that can be used in the saloon area as well as when you're in bed, which is quite neat. And I really like the subtle lighting either side. And of course you've got this big opening above as well. And these act like reading lights. Right, and then we're through to the main galley. So obviously you've got the small one up there. Here you've got hot and cold water in the sink. You've got a twin gas hob here, and then you've got a second fridge. So you've got 2 fridges on this boat, and again with freezer compartment. Again, you've got this nice subtle lighting all the way around, and then good storage here, as well as a bit of storage under here. And there will be storage under the bed as well as access to things like the bow thruster. Let's go into the heads. Oh, what I do like as well is this opening window. Now this window is actually inside the boat, so it's inside the hardtop. So that's the windscreen for the boat above it. So when it's raining and things like this doesn't actually get wet, so you don't get any noise on here. And so I really like, but this gives you so much more light into here. It's really neat. I don't know if you noticed the curtain, so if you did want to enclose yourself off, you can do with the curtain. And then you're through into the shower room. Now again, Bavaria do height quite well. They must be very tall in Germany, I suppose. So they do height very well. So they always got good head heights in here, and this is no exception. Nice sink arrangement. This does have a proper shower. So you've got a proper shower here with overhead, so fixed, as well as you've got the tap here. The previous models, you used to have a tap you pull out and then double as a shower. So it is a usable shower, and it's kind of a wet room. There's no shower curtain I can see in there or anything like that, so it's assumed everything could get wet. But I'd say it's more of an occasional shower than use every day. We've got electric toilet, so electric flush toilet into a holding tank. And then again we've got storage around, so just up here and underneath as well. There's a good amount of storage, and it doubles for your toilet roll holder as well. And let's pop back through. I like this little, if you have a look there, there's a little roof light above there as well. They've even gone to the trouble of just for a little bit of extra light, just popping that up there. So they do have these nice touches. This has diesel heating. So there's vent here, and there's vent in the cockpit as well. And they put one in the heads, so we'll have a look there. There's one in the heads as well. So it does, and there'll be one in the second cabin, which we'll show you in a sec. But this is the main fusion unit. You can open it up, you can pull this out, and you can, if you wanted to, pop a iPod or another mobile, and you can plumb it straight into the USB, so you can have a permanent music system on there for recording music, or obviously you can use it in other ways. This does have Bluetooth and everything, so you can Bluetooth your phone to it if need be. If I open this cupboard though, it has diesel heating, as I said, so that's the controls for it. Glad we did the outside just a minute ago, because it's just started raining, so I'm really glad I left the covers up. And as you can see, look, there's no rain on there, it's just on the windscreen, as I was saying. So you've got the heating here, and you can use this as a heater, but in the summer you can just have it blow cool air as well, so you can circulate air in here, which is nice. It really takes the heat out. And we also have this second panel now. So here, look, you can do more simple things like turn the water on, water pump on, the downstairs fridge, and the lights, music, stereo, and everything like that. There is an F1, which is they do have reserve. So if you want to add something else, then you do have reserve on there, so you can add other things in if you want to. And then the main 240, so mains power switch panel here. So of course this would do the water heater, sockets, and the battery charger, which is on at the moment. Okay, let me shut this down for you. And again, so it just has been in here. So there is storage everywhere they can fit storage in. And then if we pop through into the aft cabin, now this is massively, even though it's the same layout, it feels massively different to my old one. You can really feel where, I think the top side, the roof height is much taller than on my old 32. So when you come into here, you've got much more headroom. Again, I had a settee in the old one, but it was smaller than this. But the bed was a bed that came all the way to here, very similar, but there wasn't, you had to crawl onto the bed. But what they've done here, they've put a cutout in the bed, which is interesting in itself, but they've also done a cutout in the roof here. So this actually lets I can walk into here. So when I get into bed, I just do a little stoop and I'm in. I really like that. And in fact, I would probably sleep here more than up the front, just because you can keep that side quite neat, but also these beds are much more comfortable than the V berth up the front. But you do have the choice. I remember my old one, we used to chop and change. Sometimes, you know, you take a load of stuff and you'd probably have it down here and then sleep up the front, or vice versa. But when you've got visitors, it's very nice having the two separate areas as well. So these beds are very comfortable. Very nice lighting again. There's reading light as well as there's a single overhead light and a television again in here. So we've got a TV in here and out there as well. But it's just a really nice layout. And the boat feels very clean and tidy as well. It's a very nice, clean boat. It's been kept in very nice condition. I haven't found any dirt anywhere. It's very nice. I do like this. And what's this? That's quite neat. Is that for shoes? That's shoes, isn't it? Is that shoes or magazines? I don't know, you decide. If you know what it is, put it on the comments. I'm going to go for, I don't know, I might go magazines now. You wouldn't get many shoes in there, would you? But nice touch. And then pop back out. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to open up the engine bay and we'll show you around the engines. Right, so so I'm going to get into the engine bay, but we're just filming it because I reckon I can almost stand up straight in this. I'm going to get in. I don't know if you're going to... There's any lights down here. Let's have a look. So this is me standing up now in the engine bay. So I'm going to stoop down, come on down into here. Oh, there is some light in here. But the one thing that you'll notice is these engines are very, very compact. I mean, look at the size of them. If they were D4s, they'd be filling up this whole space. They'd be all the way to here. And I really admire how much power they can get out of these small engines now. So again, these are 220 horsepower each, but they're half the weight of the D4s. So you really feel that benefit, because boats, when they're getting on the plane, it's really, you know, the bow goes up, it's getting the arse end up, and it's really that extra weight in the back where they can struggle, especially with marine growth and things like that, or with just amounts of people on the boat. But these really get over that with these small units. It's a very popular and Bavaria's choice of engine, and I would agree with them. They do work very well and just gives you so much room in this engine bay. Now everything's down here that you need to access from the point. Let me just grab that. So from the point of view, battery switches are controlled upstairs, but they actually control electrically these larger switches. So these are turned on and off upstairs, so you don't have to bother going up there. You've got split chargers and battery chargers, and there's an inverter. So we forgot to mention the boat has a 3,000 watt inverter on here, which again will operate the grille in the cockpit. So we said it doesn't have a generator, but it does have an inverter, so it can operate that. So we've got extra battery capacity as well. So we've got the two batteries and then this large Exide AGM there. Water tank, so hot water tank access there. Let's say the fresh water tank is up in the bow, but then we've got really good access to the fuel tank. Look. So this is the fuel tank, again, in front of the engines, good weight distribution, and it's up on the top here, 510 litres. And also has an access panel into it, so if there's any water or anything like that, or any contamination into the tank, you can easily get it out. But again, very nice, clean and tidy. Bilges look bone dry. We've had torrential rain. We just had a storm come through yesterday. So if there's any leaks or anything like that, it would have been very apparent, because it's the first time we've been on there since the storm. And then we've got the Webasto heater down here as well. And you can see this is actually for the windscreen, so there's wash as well. So it has washers and wipe. So that's your reservoir for that. And then again, we come all the way around. Again, look at the gap between the engines, pretty unheard of. Direct access to the bilges. So we've got multiple level switches. So we've got an alarm, float switch for the bilge pumps. There's also a manual pump. And they even have the 240 plugs, so you can plug in extra things down here if you wish. And then for the fire extinguisher as well, which is serviced. So that's serviced till the middle of next year. And then obviously that's it really in here. So we'll pop back up. There we go. And getting out is always hard. There is no... So the only thing I would say is you could do with a ladder down here for getting out. And what you can do is just pop your bum up like that and then step out. It's not too bad. Right, and then this closes off. And then you pop your table back into place. So that is the 2017 Bavaria 33 Hardtop. Fantastic boat. So please come and see us at parker-adams.co.uk. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel because we've done over 250 videos now, all sorts of boats. So come and see the other videos we have to offer. But if you like this video, like and subscribe, like I said, and we'll see you on the next video. So I'll say goodbye. Goodbye.